the number of days that we have to mains is approximately 100. So we have to make the best use of these 100 days. At these three blocks in mains will decide largely your rank in this exam. Mock test, extremely important. If you want to perform well at mains, then you have to write a lot of mock tests and complete them in the required amount of time. In a place where we can have 3 iterations of our GS subjects as well as our optional subject.
Unacademy. Let's crack it.
Hello everyone, my name is Asad Zuberi and I'm here to discuss a topic with you which is very relevant right now, how to manage your time between prelims and mains. So a brief introduction about myself. I've secured a rank of 86 in UPSC Civil Services Examination 2022 and it was my third attempt at this exam and my second interview. I come from a city of Aligarh and I am a mechanical engineer. So anyway, discussing further, the agenda of today is to plan your time between your prelims and mains. So as we all know that recently the results of prelims were announced and I would like to congratulate everyone who has qualified the exam. And this is the purpose of this video is to help you out with a better strategy and to make the best use of your time. So if we want to look right now, so the number of days that we have to mains is approximately 100. Okay. So we have to make the best use of these 100 days and things that we have to cover. I have divided these things into few blocks. The first block is of paper number 1, that is essay. Second block that I'm going to talk about is the block of general studies. Now this block has 4 papers, GS1 as we all know, GS2, GS3 and GS4. Okay, and third and the very important block that we're going to talk about is the block of our optional subject, which in my case was anthropology. So as we all know, almost all of these blocks are equally important because this block is of 250 marks. This block is of 250 into 4, 1000 marks. Okay, and this block is of 500 marks. And how good you perform at these 3 blocks in mains will decide largely your rank in this exam. So let us plan your time well. So as we all know that we have around, okay. Wait. So as we all know that we have around 100 days. So let us start with how many iterations do we want to do. So I would like to just quote my strategy. So I have done 3 iterations of my syllabus. Okay, 3 iterations in which the very first iteration was the longest one, second was the shorter one, and the third one was the shortest one. I would like to have these 3 iterations. I would also like to write mock test, extremely important. If you want to perform well at mains, then you have to write a lot of mock tests and complete them in the required amount of time. The third thing that I'm going to talk about in this time is very important. Do not ignore essay and write tests for that as well. Okay. So our agenda is to divide these 100 days in a place where we can have 3 iterations of our GS subjects as well as our optional subject. Okay. And we have to do all these 3 iterations approximately in 90 days because we'll keep some time, approximately 10 days to take care of the error. All right. So let's start with it. I've planned it out for you. Something that I have done myself. The very first iteration of your syllabus. Okay. So in this very first iteration, I would say you give 10 days each to each GS paper. Okay. 10 days each to GS 1, 2, 3 and 4. So they amount to approximately 40 days. All right. Okay. You can also give in this iteration 40 days to your optional subject. Okay. 40 days to your optional subject. This can be 40 to 50 also, because in my case, I was very slow in my very first iteration because I wanted to understand and learn as many things as I could. So this is something what your first iteration would look like. Now, what are our objectives in this iteration? The very first objective is that we have to keep these two going together. We have to keep these two going together. That means we have to divide each day into slots where we are studying our optional subject as well as we are studying our GS subjects. Okay. Now, what are the objectives of this time period? Let us list down some objectives, because this has been one of the major aspects of my preparation, that I always planned the things well, and I'm trying to do the same thing for you here. So, what are the objectives? First objective is you should be able to give first set of mocks. You should be able to give first set of mocks. That means 4 mock tests. So what you can do is, for example, you're covering GS1 and in 10 days you have covered GS1. You can write 1 mock of GS1 here. Okay. In this way, you're done with 4 sets of mocks. Second one, the very first block I talked about, essay. Write an essay test. Write a test for essay. Every alternate week, I would say, at least, or even every week if you want. In this way, you are not lagging behind the preparation of your essay as well. So it will be really nice idea if you start writing a test for essay and keep it along your GSN optional. The third objective will be to give sectional mocks for your optional. Around 5 to 6. In my case, anthropology, I gave around 5 to 6 in this iteration. Now, for the schedule of the sectional mocks, I would strongly recommend you to stick to your test series timeline. Stick to the test series schedule so that you can complete your optional in a very organized manner, and you always have certain targets to look up to. So, this is something that you can do. The fourth objective will be all micro notes should be prepared. Micro notes. All micro notes prepared. Now, what are micro notes? For example, when we consider GS paper 2, so there are topics like e-governance, there's topic like social justice, there's topic like international relation. You should have your diagrams, small definitions, etc. prepared in a way that when you go for a second iteration revision or a third iteration revision, you take less time to do that. So you should have your micro notes prepared. And the last objective is keep revising your current affairs. Now you can follow whatever source you have followed. It can be a monthly compilation, it can be an yearly compilation, whatever you're comfortable with. So in my view, in 40 to 50 days, you're already done with one iteration of your GS papers as well as your optional, and you've already given close to around 3 to 4 tests of your essay. So this will place you in a very comfortable position when you're already done with some part of your syllabus. Alright, now let's go for a second iteration. So we are already down to how many days? We are already done with around 40 to 50 days, okay, in your first iteration. Plus, let's talk about iteration number 2. I'm sorry. Okay, so I'll just talk about iteration number 2 now. Second iteration. Now this iteration in my case should be, in my view, should be shorter than the first iteration, because of course you have read the subject well now. So now it's time to revise again and write more mocks, because writing more mocks will always help you to stand out. Now second iteration, I would say give 7 days each to GS papers, okay, all 1, 2, 3 and 4. This amount to how many days? Around 28 to 30 days. considering that you are taking a break of 1 or 2 days. Okay, that is the first thing that I would like you to do for GS. The second thing that I would like you to do here is that you can go ahead and you can take around 30 to 40 days almost, okay, for the optional, depending upon the size of your optional and the level of preparation. You can take this much time to read the second iteration, and again these two things should go together. Now plan your day in and divide it like 40-60% or whatever you are comfortable with, but at least I would say these two things should go together so that it will really help you out to figure out both the subjects, both the blocks, and to perform better in them. So what are the few objectives of this iteration that you can plan out? Objectives of this iteration will be, now that you have done with GS paper 1, 2, 3, 4, so you're ready to write the second set of your mocks. Second set of your mocks. Now I would strongly recommend to start writing 2 papers in 1 day. 2 papers a day. That means you're writing 2 tests every alternate week. You're done with GS paper 1, you're done with revision of GS paper 2, second iteration, you're writing both the tests in the same day. So that now you need to get accustomed to writing 2 tests in 1 day, because it's really tough on your hands. Sometimes it also starts paining, so you need to be very used to that process. So you are done with second set of your mocks. So that means in the first iteration I gave 4 mocks. In second iteration I've given 4 more mocks. I'm done with 8 mocks for my GS. In your optional, I would say you complete your sectional test. Okay, complete sectional test, whatever is there in your test series, plus write PYQs. Because now you are comfortable with some part of the syllabus, so it's a good time to always start solving previous year question to get in the feel of UPSC. So now you have already completed around 8 tests of your optional, you have already completed around 8 tests of your GS, and now you are still left with around how many days? You are down with 30 days, still 30 to 40 if I'd say, that means you're left with around 10 to 20 days. Still to mains. Again, another thing will be keep writing essay test every alternate week, okay, and keep revising current affairs. Also, I forgot to tell you one thing. In the very first iteration, your goal should be to get done with revising the basic sources well. For example, if you're reading Spectrum, you're reading Lakshmikant, please revise all of those things well in the very first iteration so that it will take less amount of time in the second iteration. So in this, you're revising this, and now you are revising it from your micro notes, okay? Because you've already prepared your micro notes in the first iteration. You are enriching this content with the current affairs, and you're revising it well in the second iteration too. So now we're done with second iteration, already done with around 80 days, and you have covered the entire syllabus twice. You have written around 8 mocks for your GS, around 8 mocks for your optional, and rest for your essay. So I think you're already very comfortable to write the mains exam, and you are still left with around 20 days. So here comes the role of our third iteration, and I think this one is going to be the iteration that will cement the syllabus well in your head. So let's talk about the last one, that is third iteration. Third iteration. What are you going to do in third iteration? The very first thing is revise GS, micro notes around all 1, 2, 3 to 4. Give 4 to 5 days each. Okay, and revise your optional. So revise full paper from micro notes, I would say. That is, use your micro notes of your optional to revise both the papers. To revise paper 1 and paper 2. And this will take around 15 days for you. Okay. Comfortably. 15 days, or I think if more than 20 days. But I would say 15 days is a comfortable count. So now let's come to the very last iteration, that is the third iteration of our syllabus. Okay. So the third iteration of a syllabus, what do we want to do here is that we need to revise all the 4 papers of GS, giving 4 to 5 days each. Each to GS paper 1, 2, 3 and 4. This amounts to around 20 days. Around 16 to 20 days. Alright. What is my second goal? My second goal here is that I would revise both optional papers from micro notes. And this will again take around 15 days to 20 days for me. That is, you're already approaching the 100-day mark that we were talking about. Okay. So these two things you're supposed to do. Now, what are the main objectives here? So this is the last iteration. One of the main objectives here is that we need to revise the syllabus well from the micro notes. We need to enrich this content with current affairs, because now you're approaching mains, so you need to write better answers. And everything that you have been revising till now, you need to apply it again. So we are doing this. We are down 4 to 5 days each for GS, and we are down 15 to 20 days each for our optional subject. So what are the basic objectives that we have in this iteration? Our basic objectives in this iteration is that, first of all, keep writing essay test. So in my case, I have written more than 10 to 11 essay tests in the entire cycle. You can also write around 10 to 11 in total. So in this iteration, you are writing around 2 to 3 tests. Okay. And also please club in the GS test with essay now. What do I mean by that? That you take 3 days and write essay on day 1, GS1 and GS2 on day 2, GS3 and GS4 on day 3. So once you start giving your third set of mocks, that is the last set of mocks, that will keep you at around 12 mocks for your GS, around 9 to 10 for your essay, and more for your optional. So now that you are writing this in the form of mains, this is exactly how mains take place. You are trying to write sort of mock mains now. Okay. So this is a mock main that you're going to attempt with your essay and GS test after doing the third iteration of your revision, and again write your optional test after revising your syllabus in this form. Day 1 in day only, paper 1 and paper 2 in 2 sittings. So now this will give you a feel of mains, because getting a feel of mains is extremely important before going for actual mains. Alright. So now this part is done. The last thing I would like to say is, now you can prepare a language paper also, because it's extremely important to pass your language paper. But if you're comfortable with the languages, this will hardly take 4 to 5 days maximum. So prepare both English as well as your language that you have chosen. In my case, it was Hindi, and it just took me this much time to complete the entire thing. So now we are again down to around 20 days here. So if we see here, we are already done with 100 days, and we have done 3 iterations of our entire syllabus. Okay, we are done with 100 days, we are done with 3 iterations of the entire syllabus, and we can see the amount of things that we have covered in 100 days, which you can also write now. You can follow this strategy, it worked well for me. 20 days here, yeah. So if we sum up what we have planned till now, we have done 3 revisions for GS paper 1, 2, 3 and 4. We have done 3 revisions for optional paper 1 and 2. Alright, we have written around 7 to 8 essay tests. This will give you a huge edge because scoring in essay and in GS4 is extremely important to get a good rank. So you're already down to 7 to 8 essay tests. Now if you combine these, you've already written around 12 tests for your GS. You have already written around 9 to 10 tests for your optional. Okay. So if I combine these, you have already written 30 plus mocks. Okay. That means more than 90 hours of writing. And this is where your answer writing skills are going to get so much better. You've already written 1 mock main. One mock mains. Okay. You have covered current affairs. From your compilation. And lastly, you have prepared language papers as well. Okay, done this, and this. So this was my strategy which I followed between prelims and mains, and though it may look a lot like very rigorous, but if you have a plan like this, because my preparation has been extremely based on a good planning, and I think this is one of the basic ingredient of getting successful at anything that you do, that you need to plan these things well. So I have tried putting forward an outline of the strategy that I have followed, and I would like you to just take a hint from this, and if you really like it, and if you feel like you can pick something useful from it, I would not say that this is the only strategy that you can follow, but of course this is one of the strategies that you can follow. And if you like it, I would be really happy that you got something useful. And I would just like to say that all the best for your mains exam. I hope you can stick to your plan and you can perform really well to get a great rank this year. All the best.